They say in Japan, time does not age people. It polishes them. While the world rushes to fight decay with pills, diets, and endless struggle, there are men and women quietly living beyond 100 years, still walking with calm strength and eyes full of light. What they do each morning is not a secret ritual hidden in a temple, but something so simple that most people would overlook it completely. Yet inside those movements lies an ancient power that science is only beginning to understand. The power to extend life, sharpen the mind, and restore the body from within. Helena Blavatsky once wrote that the body is not a machine, but a sacred instrument of the soul. The Japanese elders live exactly by that truth. Every gesture they make carries intention, harmony, and quiet awareness. To them, movement is not about exercise or appearance. It is a silent dialogue between spirit and matter. This is why they do not fear time, they befriend it. Their secret is not strength or youth, but balance. Not resistance, but rhythm. Imagine for a moment that your body could remember how to heal itself, that your mind could awaken clarity with every breath. This is what these simple daily gestures create, a quiet return to yourself, to the natural wisdom that modern life has almost erased. They do not need machines or gyms. They need only attention, breath, and presence. And in that stillness, something extraordinary happens. The body begins to speak the language of eternity. By the end of this video, you will understand how these humble movements, born in the hills and temples of Japan, carry the same essence of truth that Blavatsky described over a century ago. That spirit, when expressed through conscious action, can reshape the destiny of the flesh. Keep watching, because what you are about to discover may not just change the way you move, it may change the way you exist. There is a village hidden between the mountains of Japan, where the sound of footsteps seems to echo through time itself. At sunrise, the streets are silent, but behind every door, something remarkable begins. Old men with silver hair stretch their arms to the sky. Women in their 90s move their bodies with the grace of a breeze. None of them hurry. None of them struggle. And yet, they live longer, walk farther, and remember more clearly than most people half their age. Scientists came from distant countries to study their habits, expecting to find a rare herb, a sacred water, or a secret diet. What they found instead was something they almost refused to believe. A few minutes of simple movements done with complete awareness. Nothing more. It was there that Helena Blavatsky's words seemed to whisper through the air. The secret of power is not in action, but in conscious action. The villagers had never read her books, yet they were living her philosophy every day. They moved not to burn energy, but to awaken it. And in that subtle distinction hides the reason why they do not grow old in the same way the rest of us do. Every stretch, every breath is like a silent conversation between body and soul. It is a discipline of awareness disguised as simplicity. One of the elders, a man of 102, told a visiting journalist, "When I move my hands, I am speaking with the universe. When I stop, I listen." His pulse was strong, his mind sharp, his laughter full of light. Doctors ran tests and found that his body functioned as if he were 30 years younger. But no machine could measure what truly kept him alive: his inner rhythm, a harmony born from balance between movement and stillness. Blavatsky once said that humanity had forgotten the art of living in two worlds at once, the physical and the spiritual. These people had remembered. In the West, we tend to live as if the body is a servant and the mind the master. We push, we fight, we exhaust ourselves in the name of youth. Yet every struggle against time becomes a silent war within. These Japanese elders never fought time, they befriended it. They do not rush to preserve life, they slow down to feel it. And the paradox is astonishing. The slower they move, the stronger they become. What if this quiet rebellion against modern haste is the real reason they live beyond 100? What if the secret to vitality has never been speed, but presence? Many of them start their mornings not with coffee, but with silence. Before the sun rises, they stand barefoot on the earth, eyes closed, and breathe. Some call it meditation, others simply call it respect for the day. The moment is sacred, because it reminds them that life begins not in motion, but in stillness. It is the same idea that Blavatsky devoted her life to teaching. that all transformation begins inside, where intention shapes energy. As the villagers begin their slow, deliberate movements, you can feel that this is not a workout. It is a ritual of awareness, a living prayer. A scientist observing them once noted that their heart rate, breathing, and brain activity synchronized during these moments. In medical terms, it was a rare state of physiological coherence. In spiritual terms, it was alignment with the universe. These movements are simple, lifting a leg, turning the neck, opening the arms. But when performed with total presence, they awaken something ancient. Imagine for a moment that every cell in your body could hear your thoughts. How would you move if your body understood your intention? That is exactly what these people have discovered. As the morning continues, they gather in small groups. No loud music, no commands, no competition, just harmony. The young join the old, and together they move as one living organism. There is laughter, but also reverence. They talk about dreams, about seasons, about the rhythm of rain. To an outsider, it may seem like a slow dance, but it is more than that. It is the daily reminder that health is not a goal, it is a relationship. The villagers say that sickness comes when we stop listening. They do not heal disease. They prevent it by staying in dialogue with their bodies. Blavatsky taught that thought itself is a force capable of shaping matter. Here, in this hidden village, thought takes form in motion. Each movement is a word in a silent language that connects the inner and outer worlds. When they balance on one leg, they are not training muscles. They are awakening awareness. When they bow, they are not stretching. They are surrendering to the laws of nature. In this philosophy, the body becomes a sacred book, each gesture a verse of wisdom. The scientists tried to measure everything: diet, environment, genetics. But one by one, those explanations failed. The conclusion was unsettling. Longevity here was not the result of what they consumed, but of how they existed. Their minds and bodies were not separate entities. They were a single instrument, tuned to the frequency of life itself. Blavatsky would have called this harmony the union of spiritus and materia, spirit and matter dancing in perfect rhythm. And yet, the question remains, can anyone learn this? Can someone who has lived a lifetime in chaos rediscover such balance? The answer is hidden in their smiles. They say, "You do not need to be born here. You only need to remember what you have forgotten." Their wisdom is not reserved for the chosen. It is the birthright of every human being who chooses to live consciously. The real barrier is not physical, but mental. The belief that age is decline rather than evolution. There is a story told by one of the village elders about a time when he was 20 and full of anger. He worked too much, slept too little, and often fell ill. One morning, an old monk found him sitting by the river, frustrated. The monk said, "You are trying to live like fire, but life, my son, is water." That moment changed everything. He learned to move like water, flexible, patient, unstoppable. Decades later, his hair turned white, but his body remained strong. He says he never sought longevity. It came as a side effect of peace. Helena Blavatsky believed that the greatest illness of humanity was forgetfulness, the loss of awareness of our divine nature. Watching these elders, one realizes that their secret is not hidden knowledge but remembered truth. They have not added anything new to their lives. They have simply removed what was unnecessary. No noise, no rush, no separation between what they think and what they do. Their philosophy is a living example of the phrase, "The simplest act when done consciously becomes sacred." As the day fades, the villagers return to their homes, their bodies light, their minds calm. They cook, read, tend their gardens. Nothing extraordinary, and yet everything extraordinary. The cycle repeats day after day, as if time itself has become their companion rather than their enemy. Scientists may describe it as habit, but those who feel it know it is harmony. Now imagine for a moment that this knowledge is not locked away in Japan. Imagine that anyone, anywhere, could awaken it by changing the way they move, breathe, and think. What would happen if we treated our daily gestures, rising from bed, walking, reaching, breathing, as acts of power rather than routine? How much life have we lost to unconscious repetition? How many years could be reclaimed through mindful awareness? The answer, perhaps, is not found in laboratories or temples, but within the silent language of the body that we have forgotten to hear. And as this story unfolds, you will see that what appears to be simple movement is actually the doorway to something far greater, the mastery of inner energy that Blavatsky called the awakening of divine consciousness through matter. The villagers have already crossed that threshold. The question that remains is, will you? The first light of the next morning touches the old tiled roofs of the village. The air is cool, and the mist carries the scent of earth and rain. Inside one of the small wooden houses, a woman named Aiko sits cross-legged on the floor, her hands resting gently on her knees. Her face is marked by 90 years of sun, yet her eyes are alive, peaceful, and steady. She moves slowly, turning her wrists in small circles as if stirring invisible energy around her. It looks simple, almost ordinary, but there is something magnetic about it, a quiet force that seems to stop time itself. When she was young, Aiko lost her husband and 2 sons in an accident at sea. For years she lived in silence, her body weak, her heart closed. One day, an old monk found her sitting alone near the river. He asked nothing, said nothing, only began to move his arms in a slow, flowing rhythm, like waves rising and falling. Without thinking, Aiko began to imitate him. That was the first time she felt her breath again, deep and real. She later said, "In that moment I understood that the body remembers what the heart forgets." From that day on, she repeated those movements each morning. Today, at 90, she feels lighter than she did at 40. This is not a story about fitness. It is about survival of the soul. Blavatsky wrote that the mind is the weaver of reality, and that the body is its thread. When thought and movement unite, life flows through us again. The Japanese elders know this without ever reading her words. They move with meaning. They live with purpose. Every gesture becomes an act of renewal. Think about your own mornings. How often do you wake already rushing into the day, your mind running faster than your body? How many times have you eaten, walked, spoken, or worked without truly being present? That separation between thought and action is what ages us before our time. The people who live long in these mountain villages have escaped this prison. They do not fight the day. They meet it slowly, as if each sunrise were a friend returning from afar. Imagine yourself standing barefoot for a moment, breathing slowly, moving gently as if stirring invisible water around you. You would feel something shift, something you may not have felt in years, a return to your own rhythm. This is the heart of their secret. Helena Blavatsky believed that energy follows attention. When your attention is scattered, your energy leaks. When your attention is anchored in your breath, your presence becomes magnetic. That is why these elders seem to glow with quiet strength. Their secret is not movement itself, but the consciousness that fills it. Science now proves what Blavatsky intuited more than a century ago. Simple, intentional movements can slow aging, repair cells, and calm the nervous system. But science cannot measure the deeper mystery these people embody, the invisible harmony that connects the heart to the universe. In every twist of the hand, every bend of the knee, there is a memory older than civilization, the memory of balance. The body does not forget truth. It only waits for the mind to remember it again. Aiko once told a visitor, "Pain is not the enemy. Forgetting is." Her words stayed with him for years. Forgetting how to breathe, how to listen, how to be still. These are the real diseases of modern life. We live surrounded by noise, screens, and endless distraction, chasing vitality through effort instead of awareness. The elders in this village discovered that the way to heal is not by adding more, but by removing what is unnecessary. One breath, one movement, one moment of silence. That is where the spirit awakens. A young man from the city visited them recently. He arrived skeptical, carrying his phone like a shield. The idea that slow, quiet motion could change anything felt absurd. Yet after just one morning of practice, he said something unexpected. "It felt like I was cleaning dust from inside my chest." He left days later, calmer, smiling without reason. Perhaps the truth had begun to settle in his bones, that peace is not an escape from life, but a new way of entering it. Helena Blavatsky often spoke of the invisible currents of thought that move through the world. She said that when one person awakens, their energy subtly influences others, creating waves of transformation. The Japanese elders are living proof of this invisible law. Their calm presence touches everyone who comes near. It is as if the body, once tuned to harmony, begins to radiate it effortlessly. Even without words, they remind us of something sacred. We do not need to control life. We need only to align with it. You can start where you are. There is no age, no special place, no perfect time. All that is required is a willingness to slow down and remember. Start by breathing. Lift your hand with intention. Move slowly. Feel the air between your fingers. Each second becomes an eternity when lived consciously. That is the power of presence. That is the path that Blavatsky called the bridge between spirit and matter. Before this part ends, pause and ask yourself, what would change if you treated your body not as a machine to be improved, but as a temple to be awakened? How many moments of your life have passed unnoticed, like rain falling on closed eyes? The time to awaken is not someday, it is now. If these words reached you, if something inside you feels quietly stirred, then write this sentence in the comments. I awaken the spirit through my movement. Do it not as a reaction, but as a declaration of intention, because words, like movement, carry energy, and this one can mark the beginning of your transformation. And when you finish, look at the red button somewhere in the corner of your screen. Only the chosen, only those who feel the call will click it to subscribe and be blessed by the same harmony that sustains the wise. The path is simple, but the decision is yours. The story will continue, and the next secret may change everything you thought you knew about life itself. The rhythm of the human heart is older than any civilization. In the quiet mornings of Japan, that rhythm still guides the way people move, breathe, and live. After the first gentle exercises awaken the senses, something deeper begins to unfold. The movements are no longer just gestures of the body. They become symbols, expressions of a hidden intelligence that Helena Blavatsky often described as the silent architect of life. She wrote that every cell contains memory, and every action carries meaning. The elders of these mountains live by that truth without ever naming it. When they lift a hand, they do it as if awakening a sacred current that flows through all living things. A man named Ryu, now 94, remembers his grandfather teaching him how to balance on one leg. It was not a challenge, but a meditation. Do not fight the trembling, his grandfather told him. The trembling is your soul adjusting to silence. Ryu laughs when he recalls those words, but his eyes soften with reverence. Every morning he still practices that same movement, and his mind remains as sharp as the edge of a blade. Scientists have measured his brain activity and found patterns associated with younger, highly focused individuals. What they cannot measure is the peace that radiates from him, the deep calm that seems to erase time itself. Blavatsky believed that the secret to longevity is not in the body, but in the consciousness that animates it. When awareness flows freely, the body obeys the laws of harmony rather than decay. These elders have learned, without doctrine or books, to align their thoughts with their movements. In their culture, moving the body is the same as moving the soul. This is why they smile even when alone, why their eyes reflect the serenity of clear water. Now, imagine standing perfectly still, one leg slightly raised, eyes closed. The body begins to sway, the balance uncertain. That is the moment when the mind starts to awaken. In that small instability, you can feel the pulse of life, fragile yet infinite. What if this simple act of balance could reveal more about your inner state than any test or diagnosis? What if your ability to stand without falling was the mirror of your ability to stay centered in the chaos of existence? In the West, stability is often confused with control. We want to hold everything in place, our routines, our emotions, our image. But the elders of Japan show another way, balance through surrender. The body finds equilibrium not by resisting the movement, but by moving with it. Blavatsky wrote that the greatest wisdom of the soul is its ability to adapt to the rhythm of the universe. When we stop fighting gravity, we begin to flow with it, and what once felt like effort becomes grace. The villagers tell stories of children learning balance before they learn to write. Parents encourage them to play on uneven stones, to walk barefoot, to feel the ground beneath them. In doing so, they are not teaching coordination. They are teaching presence. These early experiences form the foundation of awareness that lasts for a lifetime. As the years pass, this awareness becomes their shield against decline. They do not fear falling because they never stopped learning how to stand. Blavatsky often said that the body is the shadow of the soul. If that is true, then every movement we make is a message from that deeper dimension of being. The way you sit, walk, or breathe reflects the dialogue between spirit and matter. When the body becomes rigid, it is because the soul has stopped speaking. When movement flows, the soul sings again. The Japanese elders seem to live in a constant song of motion, every gesture alive with consciousness. Can you remember the last time you moved with full attention? Not to reach a goal or impress anyone, but simply to feel your own presence. Most people cannot. We rush from one task to another, living in fragments. But in the stillness of these mountain villages, time behaves differently. People do not run after life, they walk beside it. That difference changes everything. They do not measure health by youth or beauty, but by inner coherence, by how deeply body, mind, and spirit harmonize. A curious observation from researchers reveals that those who practice daily balance exercises have more gray matter in areas of the brain related to memory and emotional regulation. But beyond the data lies something the instruments cannot explain. When these elders balance, they are not only training the brain, they are stabilizing the soul. The trembling of the leg, the gentle swaying of the arms, become metaphors for existence itself. Life is motion, death is stillness, without awareness. One winter morning, Ryu slipped on ice and fell. Everyone feared the worst, but he stood up slowly, laughing. "The ground wanted to hug me," he said. The next day, he was back to his practice. His resilience surprised even the doctors. It seemed that his balance extended beyond the physical. He was balanced inside, in spirit. This inner stability is what Blavatsky called the equilibrium of the triad, body, soul, and will. The question arises, can such equilibrium be learned, or is it a gift of destiny? Perhaps both. The elders believe that each person carries an inner compass that can be reawakened through patience and practice. It is not about perfection, but about awareness. They say, the earth always moves, the wind always shifts, but the mountain remains. The mountain, in their words, is the inner self, silent, grounded, unshaken. When the villagers practice balance, they do not isolate themselves. They often do it together, in gardens or near temples. The collective energy amplifies their awareness. Watching them, you can sense the invisible thread that connects one human being to another. Blavatsky described this as the law of universal brotherhood, that every action, every thought, sends ripples through the field of life. Balance, then, is not just personal stability, it is cosmic harmony. Every time one person finds stillness, the world becomes a little less chaotic. Have you ever wondered how much of what you feel belongs to you and how much is absorbed from the world around you? When you are surrounded by anxiety, your body tenses. When near peace, it softens. These invisible exchanges happen constantly. The Japanese elders consciously influence this field. They radiate calm not because they avoid conflict, but because they have made peace with movement itself. They are living reminders that serenity is contagious. There is something mysterious about watching them. The way they breathe in perfect rhythm, with the rustling leaves, the way they lift their hands to the rising sun. It is not performance, it is communion. Each movement carries gratitude, each pause humility. They are not exercising, they are remembering. The act of balance is their meditation, their way of returning to the sacred center that Blavatsky called the eternal witness within. And what about you? When was the last time you stood in silence and felt the earth beneath your feet? Do you remember how it feels to trust your own balance, not just physically, but emotionally? In a world full of noise and speed, stillness becomes rebellion. And yet within that stillness lies the key to vitality that never fades. Researchers once tried to replicate the effects of these simple balance practices in a laboratory setting. They asked volunteers to train for a few weeks. The results were astonishing. Lower stress hormones, improved memory, and greater emotional stability. But there was one difference. The villagers practiced with reverence. The volunteers practiced with curiosity. The elders moved as if their lives depended on it. And perhaps they do. The power of these ancient habits lies not in the body alone, but in their meaning. They remind us that awareness is the foundation of all. Transformation. The balance you seek in your outer life must first exist within. The Japanese elders have mastered this art, not by seeking immortality, but by living each moment as a complete eternity. As dusk falls, Ryu sits beneath a cherry tree. The blossoms drift in the wind, landing softly on his shoulders. He smiles and closes his eyes. To an observer, it might look like nothing special, an old man resting after a long day. But within that quiet moment, a lifetime of wisdom unfolds. His stillness is alive, his balance eternal. He whispers words his grandfather once told him. When you stand firm in yourself, the universe stands with you. This is not myth or poetry. It is a truth that anyone can touch. To find balance is to rediscover harmony with all things. The Japanese have preserved this secret not in books or temples, but in their bodies, their breath, their daily lives. Blavatsky saw the same law written in the stars. As above, so below, as within, so without. The balance of the cosmos is the balance of the human soul. And so as you reach this point of the journey, pause. Feel your heartbeat. Let your breath slow. The next revelation will dive even deeper into this mystery. The connection between stillness, motion, and the hidden intelligence that holds the key to renewal. Stay until the end, because what comes next is not just knowledge. It is a mirror waiting to show you who you truly are. As the journey deepens, something remarkable begins to unfold. The story of movement, once gentle and quiet, now enters the realm of power and transformation. In the small Japanese villages where elders move with grace and awareness, the secret of vitality expands beyond balance. It reaches into the sacred relationship between strength, surrender, and the Hao, Earth itself. Helena Blavatsky once wrote that the human body is a microcosm of the universe, shaped by the same forces that guide stars and seasons. To understand how the Japanese elders live long and strong, one must learn to listen not only to the body, but also to the earth beneath it. Every morning, men and women who have lived nearly a century bend their knees and lower themselves toward the ground. The act seems simple, but it is the key to preserving youth in old age. The agachamento, the deep squat, is their dialogue with gravity. In the West, people spend hours sitting in chairs, forgetting how to bend and rise freely. But in these villages, the floor is life. People sit close to it, eat close to it, and rest close to it. This natural movement strengthens the hips, knees, and spine. Medical researchers found that those who maintain this posture into old age have better circulation, stronger bones, and fewer falls. Yet the elders say that these benefits are only the surface. The true reason they do it is spiritual. When you lower your body, one of them said, you raise your soul. The squat, they explain, is not submission, but alignment. It brings you closer to the heart of the earth, the source of all stability. The Japanese concept of hara, the center of energy just below the navel, is activated through this movement. Blavatsky described a similar principle when she spoke of the solar plexus as the gate of will. To bow down, to bend, to rest low. These are not signs of weakness, but of wisdom. They are reminders that power comes from humility. The elders call it the strength of softness. Modern studies confirm what ancient intuition already knew. Countries with cultures that sit on the floor have lower rates of hip and knee replacement surgeries. People who maintain the ability to rise without using their hands live, on average, longer and healthier lives. In a global study, researchers discovered that the capacity to stand up from the ground unaided was one of the strongest predictors of longevity. What science measures in data, the Japanese have lived for centuries as a philosophy. They treat every movement as a prayer, every effort as a return to harmony. But perhaps the most surprising fact is not physical at all. When Western doctors examined brain scans of elderly Japanese who still practice daily squatting, they found increased activity in regions associated with memory, emotional balance, and creativity. The conclusion startled them. Movement, done with awareness, reshapes not only the body but also the mind. Blavatsky might have said that they were touching the hidden layers of consciousness through action. When we move, with reverence, we awaken forgotten dimensions of the self. Consider the modern world. Most of us live in straight lines, chairs, desks, cars, screens. We move less, think more, and feel disconnected from our bodies. The Japanese elders are curved like rivers, fluid and alive. Their movement is circular, not linear, like time in the ancient sense, endless and renewing. Scientists call this the secret of functional motion. Blavatsky would call it the dance between spirit and matter. Each repetition is a ritual, not a routine. When asked about pain, one old woman replied, "Pain is a teacher. It shows me where I have stopped listening." That sentence carries the same vibration as Blavatsky's writings about karma, that every discomfort is a message, a chance for awareness. In the East, people do not flee from pain. They listen to it. They bow to it, learn from it, and in doing so, transform it. The act of rising from the ground becomes a symbol of rebirth. Each descent into the squat is a small death of the ego, and each rise, a new awakening of life. Halfway through the morning, after these practices of balance and grounding, the elders begin to walk. Not fast, not slow, just enough to feel the rhythm of breath and earth. The Japanese call it sampo, the art of conscious walking. Unlike the power walks of the West, sampo is an act of mindfulness. The steps are synchronized with breathing. 3 steps in, 3 steps out. Eyes relaxed, shoulders free, the body sways in harmony with the world. To a passerby, it may seem ordinary, but within those steps lives a universe of peace. Blavatsky often compared the movement of planets to the movement of human consciousness. Just as the stars orbit their centers, we too revolve around our own inner sun. The act of walking consciously becomes a reflection of cosmic order. In these Japanese villages, people do not walk to reach a destination. They walk to align themselves with life. Studies from Tokyo University have shown that even short periods of slow, rhythmic walking reduce stress hormones and improve cardiovascular health. But the true miracle is invisible. When practiced daily, this kind of walking restores mental clarity, lowers anxiety, and reawakens the body's natural rhythm. An international research project discovered something fascinating. Older adults who walk mindfully, even for 10 minutes a day, experience measurable changes in brain connectivity. The pathways associated with memory and emotion strengthen, and depressive symptoms decrease. It seems as if the simple act of walking consciously reorganizes the nervous system. Blavatsky would say, it reconnects us with the subtle currents of life that science cannot yet see. Imagine, for a moment, walking without rushing anywhere, the mind quiet, the breath deep, the world moving gently around you. Each step becomes a meditation, each breath a bridge between the visible and the invisible. Could it be that the path to longevity has been under our feet all along? The elders believe so. They say that when the body walks with awareness, the spirit travels too. They walk not to escape life, but to enter it fully. But there is another element that makes this tradition even more powerful. Every morning across Japan, millions of people move together at the same time, performing a short series of exercises known as radio taiso. It began in the 1920s and continues today. Children, office workers, and elders all follow the same rhythm, guided by music broadcast on national radio. The entire nation breathes and stretches in unison. This simple practice creates something extraordinary, a collective harmony, a shared pulse of life. Blavatsky would have called it a manifestation of the group soul, the blending of human energies toward a higher vibration. Scientists studying this phenomenon found that participants of radio taiso had better posture, stronger hearts, and longer lives. But they also discovered something even more intriguing. People who joined in felt more connected, less lonely, and more optimistic. It was as if moving together reminded them that they are part of something greater. In a time when loneliness is called the New epidemic, this discovery carries profound meaning. The Japanese have found a way to heal isolation through motion and unity. Across the globe, loneliness shortens life expectancy as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In contrast, community-based exercise, even as simple as synchronized stretching, increases survival rates dramatically. The elders of Japan understood this instinctively. They greet each morning with gratitude, movement, and connection. They live, proof that longevity is not only about what we do, but with whom we share it. And yet, beneath all these facts and practices lies a deeper truth, a mystery that Blavatsky devoted her life to unveiling. Every act of consciousness, no matter how small, ripples through the field of life. When one person walks with awareness, the vibration of peace expands outward. When millions move in harmony, the entire world shifts slightly toward balance. This is not metaphor, it is resonance. The same law that binds atoms together binds hearts and minds across continents. As the sun sets on the village, the elders rest on their verandas, their faces soft with quiet joy. Their bodies may be old, but their energy feels timeless. The day ends as it began, in simplicity, in motion, in reverence. Somewhere far away, people hurry home from crowded cities, carrying the weight of the day. But here, in this small corner of the world, time itself seems to bow before them. Helena Blavatsky's teachings echo in the wind. Those who move with consciousness move beyond decay. And now, as the story prepares to cross into the next chapter, the air is thick with anticipation. The final movement, the most subtle of all, waits just beyond the edge of understanding. It will not demand effort, but awareness. It will not require strength, but surrender. Stay until the end, because what comes next will not simply explain the secret of longevity. It will reveal the essence of what it means to live as an awakened being, where every breath is eternal and every gesture a whisper of the divine. As the final light of the day fades behind the Japanese mountains, silence returns. The air feels alive, filled with something that cannot be seen but can be felt. A sense of completion, of harmony between movement and stillness. The elders finish their practice as they always do, with a moment of gratitude. Hands joined near the heart, eyes closed. They whisper words that need no translation. Their day is not an escape from life, but a conscious return to it. In that silence, Helena Blavatsky's teachings find their true echo. That awareness transforms the ordinary into the sacred, and that even the smallest gesture, when done with consciousness, becomes an act of power. This is where the real lesson begins. It is not enough to admire their wisdom or to understand it intellectually. The secret only reveals its power through practice. The Japanese elders do not read about balance, they live it. They do not discuss harmony, they move with it. And now you too can begin to embody what you have learned. The change starts not with effort, but with attention. It begins the moment you decide to live more slowly, to breathe more deeply, to treat each movement as a bridge between body and spirit. Start with something simple. Tomorrow morning, before touching your phone or rushing into your day, sit quietly for 60 seconds. Feel your breath. Notice its rhythm. Do not control it, just observe. Then rise gently. Stand on one leg for a few moments, even if you tremble. That trembling is your teacher. It is your body learning to listen again. After that, bend slowly, as if greeting the earth. This is not an exercise. It is a dialogue. Repeat this ritual each morning, not as a task, but as a moment of remembrance. Within days, your mind will begin to clear. Within weeks, your energy will shift. Within months, you will not be the same. In the modern world, transformation is often sold as something complex. New diets, new workouts, new devices. But the wisdom of these elders reminds us that simplicity is the highest form of intelligence. The path to vitality is not hidden behind technology or luxury. It lives in your awareness. You already carry within you the same intelligence that sustains life itself. Every heartbeat, every breath, every step is an opportunity to return to that truth. Blavatsky wrote that humanity's greatest challenge is to remember what it already knows. You are not broken, and you do not need to be fixed. What you need is to remember the natural order of things. The body was made to move. The mind was made to observe. The spirit was made to guide. When these three act together, life becomes effortless. The elders of Japan are living examples of this unity. Their longevity is not a miracle. It is a consequence of coherence. You can create that same coherence wherever you are. Here is a simple plan, a living practice to bring their wisdom into your own life. First, awaken the breath. Begin and end each day with 3 slow, deliberate breaths. Inhale through the nose, hold briefly, and exhale with gratitude. This resets your nervous system and aligns your awareness with the present moment. Second, move with intention. Choose one simple movement, lifting an arm, turning your head, or standing on one leg, and perform it slowly, with total presence. Feel each muscle, each shift of balance. Let your mind rest inside the motion. This connects thought and action, the inner and outer worlds. Third, ground yourself daily. Spend 1 minute in contact with the earth. Stand barefoot on grass, soil, or even concrete. The point is not the material, but the awareness of connection. Feel gravity holding you. Let it remind you that you belong to something vast and steady. Fourth, walk with awareness. Transform every step into meditation. Whether you are walking to work or through your home, match your steps with your breath. Inhale for 3 steps. Exhale for 3. The world will begin to move differently around you. Finally, end each day in gratitude. Before sleep, recall 3 moments that brought peace or beauty to your day. They can be small, a smile, a sound, a ray of light. Gratitude is the final movement of the soul before rest. It rewires the mind toward harmony. These steps may sound simple, but within their simplicity lies profound power. They are not rules, they are reminders. Each one is a door to awareness. Each practice is an invitation to rediscover what it means to be fully alive. The more you repeat them, the deeper they reach. This is how you turn philosophy into experience, knowledge into transformation. The world you live in will not slow down for you, but you can slow yourself down within it. You can choose to walk in rhythm with your own spirit, rather than the noise around you. Blavatsky believed that the future of humanity depended on this shift, from unconscious existence to conscious living. Every person who chooses awareness becomes a light for others. Every moment of presence sends a ripple of healing into the world. As you reflect on what you have heard, remember this: the wisdom of the Japanese elders is not foreign to you. It is the wisdom of being human. You have simply forgotten it under layers of speed, distraction, and worry. Now you are being invited to remember. The practices you have learned are not traditions to imitate. They are truths to awaken. You are both the student and the teacher, the seeker and the path. Imagine yourself months from now. You wake each morning with calm energy. Your mind no longer races. Your breath flows easily. You feel light, balanced, centered. Life still brings challenges, but they no longer throw you off course. This is not fantasy. It is the natural outcome of awareness. Every day, with every conscious movement, you return to the center of yourself. This is how the elders live beyond 100 years, not by fighting time, but by living in harmony with it. So now the question becomes, will you let this knowledge fade as another story you once heard, or will you embody it? The choice is yours. The moment is now. Begin where you are. 1 breath, 1 movement, 1 act of attention. The smallest change in awareness can begin to rewrite the entire rhythm of your life. If these words spoke to something inside you, let it respond. Leave your thoughts, reflections, or questions in the comments below, even anonymously if you wish. Your story may awaken someone else's journey. And if you feel that quiet call within, click the red button to subscribe so that you may continue walking with us. Like this video if it touched your heart, share it with those who seek balance, and let us move together toward a life of awareness, vitality, and peace. Because the true secret of longevity is not to live longer, but to live awake.